Nkem was a young girl of 15, living in the small village of Umoka. She had dark, expressive eyes and a quiet demeanor that often masked her strength. Her mother had passed away when she was just 7, leaving her in the care of her father, Pa Okeke, a respected farmer. A year later, Pa Okeke remarried a woman named Adanma, who came with her own son, Chika. At first, Nkem was hopeful that Adanma would be kind and treat her like a daughter, but Adanma's kindness quickly faded after the wedding. She often scolded Nkem for the smallest mistakes and gave her the heaviest chores. Meanwhile, Chika, her own son, was pampered and spoiled, never lifting a finger to help. Life became a daily struggle for Nkem. She was up before dawn, fetching water from the stream, weeding the farm, and preparing food for the family. Adanma would criticize her endlessly, saying, "You're just like your mother, stubborn and lazy. No wonder she didn't last long." These words stung, but Nkem swallowed her pain, focusing on doing her best to survive. One day, Pa Okeke fell ill. He grew weaker by the day, unable to work on the farm. Adanma took over the household, her authority now unquestioned. She used Pa Okeke's illness as an excuse to mistreat Ankem even more, accusing her of being a burden. "Why should I waste food on you when you bring nothing to this house?" Adanma hissed one evening. Nkem looked down at her calloused hands, the result of endless labor. She wanted to speak up, but knew it would only make things worse. Instead, she focused on taking care of her father, bringing him herbs from the forest and cooking the little food they had left. One fateful morning, Pa Okeke called Nkem to his bedside. "My daughter," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "you must be strong. Life is not always fair, but the strength in your heart will guide you." Tears welled up in Nkem's eyes as she nodded. Later that night, Pa Okeke passed away, leaving Nkem alone in the world. If you're enjoying this story, please subscribe to hear more heartfelt and inspiring tales like this one. It will help us share stories that matter. Let's continue. After the burial, Adanma's treatment of Nkem worsened. Adanma wanted control over everything Pa Okeke left behind, but Nkem stood in her way. One day, Adanma accused Nkem of something much worse than stealing food. She claimed Nkem had tampered with the farm's yam seedlings, causing them to rot. In a village where farming was the lifeblood of survival, such an accusation was considered a grave offense. Adanma didn't stop there. She claimed that Nkem had brought bad luck to the family ever since her father's death. She whispered to the villagers that Nkem's mother's spirit was angry and had cursed her daughter. The whisper spread, fueling fear and suspicion among the villagers. "This girl is cursed," Adanma cried during a meeting with the village elders. "Ever since her father's death, nothing has gone right. The yams are rotting and our harvest is failing. I cannot keep her in this house. She is bringing bad luck to us all." Nkem was stunned. She had not touched the yams, let alone harmed them. She tried to defend herself, but her voice was drowned out by Adanma's accusations. The villagers, terrified of curses and bad luck, began to agree with Adanma. Even the few who doubted her stayed silent, afraid to be sick, siding with someone labeled as cursed. The elders, fearing that keeping Nkem in the village might indeed bring ruin, reluctantly agreed. They ordered her to leave Umoka immediately. Her protests fell on deaf ears. Adanma packed a small bundle of clothes and a few yams for Nkem, shoving it into her hands before pushing her out of the house. "Go!" Adanma spat. and don't ever come back. Nkem walked away from the only home she had ever known. The villagers watched in silence as she passed, their eyes filled with a mixture of pity and fear. Her heart ached, but she held her head high. Her father's words echoed in her mind. Be strong. Nkem wandered for days, surviving on the yams Adanma had thrown at her. She slept under trees and drank from streams, her body growing weaker with each passing day. On the fourth day, she reached the edge of a neighboring village called Nobi. She was exhausted, her clothes torn and her feet blistered. As she sat by the roadside, too tired to move, an elderly woman named Mama Ugo noticed her. Mama Ugo was returning from the market, carrying a basket of vegetables on her head. She stopped and looked at Nkem closely. Child, what are you doing out here all alone? A heavy rainstorm is coming. Shouldn't you be on your way home? Mama Ugo asked gently. Nkem hesitated. She didn't want to burden anyone with her troubles, but she was too weak to lie. I have no home, she said softly. Tears filled her eyes as she spoke, her voice trembling with exhaustion and despair. Mama Ugo placed her basket on the ground and sat beside Nkem. Come with me, she said after a moment. You look like you've been through enough. Besides, we need to hurry home before the storm begins. You can stay at my house for as long as you need. Nkem followed Mama Ugo to a small hut at the edge of the village. It was humble but clean, with a small garden in the back. Mama Ugo gave Nkem food and water and let her rest for the first time in days. Over the next few weeks, Nkem regained her strength. She worked hard to repay Mama Ugo's kindness, helping with chores and tending the garden. Mama Ugo taught her how to weave baskets, a skill that Nkem quickly mastered. Kindness is the greatest strength, my child, Mama Ugo often said. When you give it, it always finds its way back to you. As time passed, Nkem's skill in weaving became widely known. She began selling her baskets at the market, earning enough money to support herself and Mama Ugo. Her determination and resilience caught the attention of a wealthy merchant who offered her a partnership to supply baskets to other towns. This opportunity transformed Nkem's life. She built a large home in Nobi and became a well-known figure in the village, admired for her success and generosity. Back in Umuaka, Adanma's fortunes had taken a turn for the worse. The yams continued to rot just as she had claimed, but this time it was for real. And Chika's reckless behavior drained the family's resources. Adanma grew desperate and began to regret her actions. I should never have accused or sent Nkem away, she confessed to the village elders one day. Perhaps her absence has angered the gods. The elders advised her to make amends. Adanma swallowed her pride and sent her messengers to search for Nkem. She also asked the villagers to spread the word that she was seeking forgiveness and wished for Nkem to return. Adanma's public apology softened the hearts of many in the village. When the messengers finally found Nkem, she was hesitant. She remembered the pain of her banishment, the false accusation, and the humiliation she had endured. But Mama Ugo encouraged her to go back. Sometimes returning is the only way to heal, Mama Ugo said. And who knows, your kindness might bring peace to your village. Nkem returned to Umuaka, not as the frightened girl who had been cast out, but as a confident young woman. The villagers gathered to welcome her, many of them ashamed of their past silence. Adanma fell to her knees before Nkem, tears streaming down her face. Nkem, I was wrong, she said. I was blinded by my anger and fear. Please forgive me. Nkem looked at her stepmother for a long moment. The old pain resurfaced, but so did the lessons she had learned from Mama Ugo. Finally, she said, I will forgive you because forgiveness brings peace. Nkem's return brought unexpected blessings to the village. The yam harvest improved, and the villagers, inspired by her resilience, began to treat one another with more kindness and fairness. Nkem chose to stay in Umwaka, using her success to help others and ensure no one else suffered as she had. Nkem never stopped going to Nobi to visit Mama Ugo. She continued to care for Mama Ugo. Moral of the story: kindness and resilience can transform even the darkest circumstances. True strength lies in forgiveness and the ability to rise above pain. If this story moved you, share it with someone who could use a reminder of the power of kindness. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring tales. Let's spread positivity and lessons that matter. The end.